The Galactic Fleet had done it, or so they thought. For decades, their coalition of advanced alien civilizations had swept across the stars like an unstoppable storm. Entire planets fell before them, their populations either enslaved or exterminated. No one dared to stand against their might. And now, Earth, the pale blue dot at the edge of a forgotten spiral arm, was theirs for the taking. Admiral Zixer stood tall on the bridge of his flagship, Ecliptor's Wrath, gazing out at the holographic display that showed Earth hanging in space below. His six-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he addressed his crew. "Today," he announced, his voice deep and resonant, "we add another trophy to our empire." Cheers erupted from the officers around him, their exoskeleton-covered bodies clicking in celebration. This victory would cement their dominance over the galaxy. For months, the fleet had bombarded Earth with precision strikes, targeting its infrastructure and military installations. They assumed humanity would crumble quickly. After all, compared to the sophisticated technology of the Galactic Fleet, Earth's defenses were laughable. Primitive missiles, outdated satellites, and uncoordinated armies, nothing more than ants trying to fight off a boot. Humanity didn't even put up much resistance. Their governments argued among themselves instead of uniting. Refugees fled burning cities while broadcasts pleaded for peace. It was exactly what the invaders expected: chaos and surrender. So when the last major human stronghold, a sprawling naval base in the Pacific Ocean, was obliterated by orbital lasers, Admiral Zixer declared victory. He sent word across the galaxy: "Earth is ours." But something felt off. As the first wave of troop transports descended toward Earth's atmosphere, preparing to begin occupation, a strange energy signature pulsed from deep within the planet. Sensors lit up across the fleet's command center, alarms blaring as technicians scrambled to make sense of the readings. What appeared next made every alien jaw drop, and not in awe. From beneath the ocean's surface, massive shapes began rising. Dozens of them. Colossal vessels, each larger than any ship in the Galactic Fleet, emerged silently into view. Their sleek metallic hulls shimmered under the sunlight, bristling with weapons platforms that glowed ominously. These weren't just ships. They were dreadnoughts, built to dominate. "What is this?" Admiral Zixer barked, his calm demeanor cracking. No one answered. Everyone stared at the screens, mouths agape. How could humans have hidden such power? Where had these monsters come from? On board one of the dreadnoughts, General Elena Vasquez watched the invaders' reaction through her own tactical displays. She allowed herself a grim smile. Humanity had spent years preparing for this moment, pretending to be weak while secretly constructing these Leviathan-class warships. Deep underwater facilities masked their existence, and false intelligence fed to spies ensured the aliens underestimated Earth's capabilities. "Let them think they've won," Vasquez muttered to herself. "Now we show them the truth." Her order came swiftly: engage. Within seconds, beams of pure energy lanced out from the dreadnoughts, slicing through the alien fleet like paper. Transport ships exploded mid-descent, sending fiery debris raining down onto Earth's surface. Smaller alien fighters tried to retaliate but were vaporized almost instantly. Panic rippled through the invading force as they realized their mistake. Admiral Zixer clenched his fists, his earlier confidence crumbling. "Sound retreat," he shouted, though part of him already knew it was too late. Humanity wasn't the fragile prey they'd imagined. It was a predator lying in wait. And now, the predator had struck. The Galactic Fleet's retreat was anything but orderly. Chaos reigned as their once mighty armada scrambled to regroup, their sleek ships darting erratically across the void in a desperate attempt to evade the devastating beams of energy slicing through their ranks. Admiral Zixer gripped the railing on the bridge of Ecliptor's Wrath, his sharp eyes scanning the tactical display. Dozens of red blips, human dreadnoughts, had appeared out of nowhere, and they were systematically dismantling his fleet. "What are these things?" he growled, turning to his science officer, a spindly alien with translucent skin and glowing veins. How could humans build weapons like this? The officer stammered, visibly shaken. Sir, they're energy signatures. They're unlike anything we've encountered before. It's almost as if. As if what? Zixar snapped. As if they're not entirely human-made, the officer finished, lowering his voice. Zixar frowned but didn't have time to dwell on it. Another explosion rocked the ship as one of their cruisers disintegrated under the relentless assault. The dreadnoughts moved with eerie precision, their movements synchronized as though guided by a single mind. Each shot fired from their massive cannons obliterated entire squadrons of fighters or crippled capital ships in seconds. On board one of the dreadnoughts, General Elena Vasquez stood silently, her arms crossed as she observed the battle unfold on a massive holographic display. Around her, the hum of machinery filled the command center, punctuated by the occasional beep of incoming data. Her crew worked tirelessly, their faces calm despite the chaos erupting outside. They had trained for years for this moment, and now every second counted. "They're breaking formation," reported Commander Petal, her second in command. His voice carried a hint of satisfaction. "Looks like panic's setting in." "Good," Vasquez replied coolly. "Let them run scared. We need to hit them hard while they're still trying to figure us out." She turned to face her crew. "Target their communication hubs first. Disable their ability to coordinate. Then focus on taking out their largest ships. Leave the smaller ones for later. They'll be easier to pick off when morale is gone." Her orders were relayed instantly, and within moments, the dreadnoughts adjusted their strategy. Beams of energy converged on key points in the alien fleet, severing vital links between ships. Without centralized command, the invaders began acting independently, their movements growing increasingly erratic. Some tried to flee, only to collide with others in their haste. Others launched suicidal attacks against the dreadnoughts, which shrugged off the damage like insects bouncing off steel walls. Back on the Ecliptor's Wrath, Admiral Zixar watched helplessly as his fleet unraveled. He had led countless campaigns across the galaxy, conquering civilizations far older and more advanced than humanity. Yet here he was, facing an enemy that seemed impossible to defeat. Every tactic he tried failed miserably. Every counterattack was crushed without mercy. "This isn't possible," he muttered, slamming his fist against the console. "Humans aren't supposed to have this kind of power." But deep down, he knew the truth. Humanity had played them for fools. Their earlier broadcasts of weakness, their fractured governments, even their lackluster resistance, all of it had been a carefully orchestrated ruse. And now, the Galactic fleet was paying the price. As the battle raged on, whispers spread among the alien crews. Stories of Earth's hidden strength traveled quickly, fueling fear and doubt. Many wondered why they had ever come here in the first place. What did Earth have that was worth so much bloodshed? General Vasquez heard none of this. She focused solely on the task at hand, her expression unreadable. For decades, humanity had prepared for this day, knowing full well that their survival depended on secrecy and surprise. Now, as the dreadnoughts pressed their advantage, she felt no joy, only resolve. This wasn't just about winning a battle. It was about sending a message to the rest of the galaxy. Earth would not bow to anyone. Not today. Not ever. And as the alien fleet continued to crumble, that message became clearer with each passing moment. The aliens tried to communicate. It was their last hope. Their translators, advanced machines designed to decipher any language in the galaxy, scrambled to piece together a message for humanity. Admiral Zixar stood on the bridge of Ecliptor's Wrath, his face grim as he dictated the words himself. "We seek peace," the transmission began. "Cease your attack, and we will withdraw. This planet holds no value to us." But humanity didn't respond with words. Instead, the dreadnoughts answered with action. A massive energy beam erupted from one of the human warships, slicing through an alien cruiser like it was made of paper. The ship exploded into a fiery ball of debris, sending shockwaves rippling through space. Another dreadnought targeted a cluster of smaller vessels, obliterating them in a single blast. The aliens' attempts at diplomacy were drowned out by the deafening roar of destruction. On board one of the dreadnoughts, General Elena Vasquez watched the battle unfold with steely determination. She knew the invaders would try to negotiate. It was what any desperate enemy would do, but she also knew better than to trust them. Humanity had seen too many examples of civilizations destroyed by false promises and broken treaties. There would be no mercy here. Not today. They're still trying to regroup, Commander Puddle reported, pointing at the tactical display. Some ships are attempting to form a defensive perimeter. Don't let them, Vasquez ordered sharply. Break their lines. Keep them scattered. Her voice carried authority, but there was something else beneath it. A quiet anger. Years of preparation, years of hiding in fear while the galaxy ignored Earth's pleas for neutrality, had taken their toll. Now, as the tides turned in humanity's favor, Vasquez felt a sense of vindication. This wasn't just about defending her planet. It was about proving that humanity could stand shoulder to shoulder with the greatest powers in the cosmos. And win. The dreadnoughts obeyed her commands without hesitation. With synchronized precision, they unleashed another wave of attacks, targeting key points in the alien formation. One dreadnought launched swarms of autonomous drones, which darted between enemy ships, firing plasma bursts and disrupting their systems. Another deployed electromagnetic pulses, disabling entire squadrons of fighters in seconds. The aliens fought back fiercely, launching salvos of missiles and energy beams, but their efforts were futile against the sheer power of Earth's hidden arsenal. Admiral Zixar clenched his teeth as he watched his fleet crumble. He had always prided himself on being a strategist, someone who could adapt to any situation. Yet nothing in his experience had prepared him for this. These humans weren't just fighting. They were executing a flawless plan. Every move they made seemed calculated, every strike perfectly timed. What are they? He muttered under his breath, staring at the holographic display. How did they build these things? His science officer hesitated before answering. Sir, I've analyzed their energy signatures. They're unnatural, like nothing we've ever encountered. It's almost as if what? Zixar snapped, turning to glare at him. As if they reverse-engineered technology far beyond their level, the officer replied quietly. Perhaps stolen from another species. Zixar frowned. If that was true, then humanity posed an even greater threat than he'd imagined. A species capable of stealing advanced tech and using it to annihilate superior forces. That kind of cunning and resourcefulness was dangerous, but there was no time to dwell on theories. Another explosion rocked the Ecliptor's wrath as a stray missile struck its outer hull. Alarms blared across the bridge, and crew members scrambled to contain the damage. Zixar steadied himself against the railing, his mind racing. They couldn't keep fighting like this. They needed a new strategy, or a way out. Order all remaining ships to retreat toward Titan, he barked. Use Saturn's rings as cover. We'll regroup there and plan our next move. His officers relayed the command, and the surviving alien vessels began pulling back, limping toward the distant moon. But Vasquez wasn't about to let them escape so easily. Pursue them, she ordered coldly. If they think they can hide behind Saturn, they're wrong. We'll finish this now. As the dreadnoughts gave chase, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Humanity had declared itself a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would soon learn the cost of underestimating Earth. The alien fleet limped toward Titan, their ships battered and broken. Saturn's rings shimmered in the distance, offering a glimmer of hope to Admiral Zixar and his crew. If they could reach the icy moon, they might have a chance to regroup, and perhaps even find a way to counterattack. But General Elena Vasquez had no intention of letting them catch their breath. On board one of the dreadnoughts, Leviathan 07, Vasquez stood at the heart of the command center, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The aliens' retreat trajectory was clear. And she knew exactly where they were headed. "They think Saturn's rings will shield them," she said aloud, her tone sharp and calculating. "They're wrong." Commander Patel glanced up from his console. "Orders, General." Vasquez didn't hesitate. "Deploy the Arbiter." The room fell silent for a moment. Everyone knew what that meant. The Arbiter wasn't just another weapon. It was humanity's ultimate trump card. Developed in secret over decades, it was a device capable of disrupting hyperspace drives, effectively trapping any fleet within a solar system. Once activated, there would be no escape. Not for the invaders, not for anyone who tried to flee. "Are you sure?" Patel asked cautiously. "Using the Arbiter means we'll reveal its existence to the galaxy. Once word gets out." "I'm aware of the risks," Vasquez interrupted, her voice firm. "But if we let them escape now, they'll come back stronger next time. We can't afford to show weakness." "Activate it." Patel nodded and relayed the order. Moments later, a faint hum filled the ship as the Arbiter powered up. From the belly of Leviathan 07, a massive spherical device emerged, glowing with an eerie blue light. It hovered silently in space before releasing a pulse of energy that rippled outward like a shockwave. The effect was immediate. Across the battlefield, the alien ship's hyperspace engines sputtered and died, leaving them stranded. Admiral Zixer felt his stomach drop as alarms blared across the bridge of Ecliptor's Wrath. "What's happening?" he demanded, turning to his engineers. "The hyperspace drives, they've been disabled," one of them shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "We're trapped." Zixer clenched his fists, his mind racing. Trapped. No reinforcements. No way to call for help. They were completely cut off. For the first time in his long career, he felt fear, not just for himself, but for his entire fleet. These humans weren't just fighting. They were dismantling every advantage the invaders had brought to the table. "They're smarter than we thought," he muttered bitterly. Meanwhile, aboard Leviathan 07, Vasquez watched the chaos unfold with grim satisfaction. "Good work," she told her crew. "Now finish them off." As the Dreadnoughts advanced, the aliens launched a desperate counterattack. Fighters swarmed around the human ships, firing everything they had. Missiles streaked through space, exploding against the Leviathan's reinforced hulls. But the Dreadnoughts barely flinched. Their automated defense systems intercepted most of the attacks, while their own weapons continued to rain destruction upon the invaders. Amidst the chaos, something unexpected happened. One of the alien ships, a sleek vessel marked with unfamiliar insignias, broke away from the main fleet and transmitted a message directly to the humans. "General Vasquez," came a strained voice over the comms. "This is Admiral Calthar of the Tyrant Collective. We wish to negotiate." Vasquez raised an eyebrow. "Negotiate? After everything you've done?" "We were missiled," Calthar replied quickly. "The Galactic fleet promised us wealth and glory, but all we found is death. Let us leave your system, and we'll share vital intelligence about their homeworlds. You'll never face such an invasion again." For a moment, Vasquez considered refusing. Trusting an enemy, even a disgraced one, was risky. But she also knew this could be an opportunity. Intelligence about the aliens' home territories might give humanity the edge it needed to secure peace or prepare for future wars. "Fine," she said finally. "Send your data. But mark my words, if you betray us, you'll regret it." Calthar hesitated, then nodded. "Understood." As the deal was struck, the battle raged on. The remaining alien ships fought harder than ever, but without their hyperspace drives or unified leadership, their efforts were futile. Slowly but surely, humanity tightened its grip, ensuring that none of the invaders would leave Earth's skies alive. And somewhere deep in the void, the Arbiter pulsed softly, a silent reminder that Earth's secrets were far from exhausted. Admiral Zixer's mind raced as he stared at the holographic display on the bridge of Ecliptor's Wrath. His fleet was in shambles, their hyperspace drives disabled by humanity's mysterious weapon. The once mighty Galactic fleet now resembled a wounded beast, cornered and fighting for survival. But Zixer wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. If they were going down, they'd take as many of those human dreadnoughts with them as possible. "Cloak all remaining ships," Zixer ordered, his voice sharp and commanding despite the tension gripping him. "We'll use stealth drones to disable their weapon systems. Hit them where it hurts." His crew scrambled to comply, activating cloaking technology that rendered their ships nearly invisible to sensors. It was a risky move. Cloaking drained precious energy, but Zixer knew they had no other choice. Humanity's leviathans were too powerful to face head-on. They needed to strike from the shadows if they hoped to turn the tide. Meanwhile, aboard Leviathan 07, General Elena Vasquez watched the tactical display with growing suspicion. The alien ships had suddenly vanished from her scanners, leaving only empty space behind. She frowned, turning to Commander Patel. "Where did they go?" Patel shook his head. "They'd gone dark. No emissions, no movement. Either they're retreating or planning something." "They're not retreating," Vasquez said firmly. "Not after what we just did to them. They're up to something." Her instincts proved correct moments later when swarms of tiny drones emerged from seemingly nowhere, darting toward the Leviathans like insects. Each drone was equipped with advanced EMP charges designed to disable the Dreadnoughts' weapon systems. As they approached, the human ships unleashed their automated defenses. Dozens of smaller combat drones programmed to adapt to enemy tactics in real time. The battle that followed was nothing short of spectacular. In the vast expanse of space, thousands of drones clashed in high-speed dogfights, weaving through debris fields and explosions. Alien drones fired concentrated bursts of energy, while human drones retaliated with precision plasma shots. Some collided mid-flight, creating brilliant flashes of light. Others engaged in deadly games of cat and mouse, each trying to outmaneuver the other. Despite the chaos, the human drones began gaining the upper hand. Their adaptive AI allowed them to learn from every encounter, adjusting their strategies to counter the aliens' moves. Within minutes, entire squadrons of enemy drones were wiped out, their remnants drifting lifelessly through space. But the aliens weren't done yet. Beneath the cover of their cloaked ships, several larger vessels moved into position, launching salvos of missiles aimed directly at the Leviathan's critical systems. One missile struck Leviathan 12, causing a massive explosion that temporarily disabled one of its primary cannons. Another grazed Leviathan 09, sending sparks flying across its hull. Vasquez gritted her teeth as damage reports flooded in. "Focus fire on their cloaked ships," she barked. "Use thermal scans. They can't hide heat signatures." Her orders were relayed instantly, and the Leviathans adjusted their targeting systems. Thermal scanners swept the battlefield, revealing faint heat trails left by the cloaked alien ships. Energy beams lanced out, striking true and tearing through the invaders' camouflage. One by one, the hidden ships were exposed and destroyed, their crews screaming as they were engulfed in flames. Admiral Zixar watched in horror as his last-ditch effort unraveled before his eyes. The humans weren't just overpowering them. They were outsmarting them at every turn. He slammed his fist against the console, frustration boiling over. "How are they doing this?" He growled. "How can primitives fight like this?" "They're not primitives anymore," muttered his science officer, his voice trembling. "Not with tech like theirs." Zixar didn't respond. Instead, he turned back to the display, searching for any opening. A weakness, a flaw, anything he could exploit. But there was none. Humanity's forces were relentless, their coordination flawless. Every time the aliens thought they had found an advantage, the humans countered it effortlessly. As the battle dragged on, casualties mounted on both sides. Yet unlike the invaders, who were running low on resources and morale, humanity's resolve only grew stronger. Vasquez stood firm, her expression unreadable, but her determination unshakable. This wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about proving that humanity would never bow to anyone again. And as the final waves of alien drones were annihilated, it became clear the Galactic fleet's desperate counterattack had failed. Whatever hope they had clung to was fading fast, and humanity was ready to deliver the killing blow. The remnants of the Galactic fleet were in disarray. Their cloaked ships had been exposed, their drones annihilated, and their weapons rendered useless against humanity's overwhelming firepower. But the chaos wasn't limited to the battlefield. It was spreading within their own ranks. Aboard Ecliptor's Wrath, Admiral Zixar paced furiously across the bridge, his six-fingered hands clenched into fists. The situation was dire, and he knew it. His fleet was trapped in Earth's solar system, unable to escape or call for reinforcements. Every attempt to strike back had failed miserably, leaving his crew demoralized and his allies questioning whether this war was worth fighting anymore. "Admiral," called one of his lieutenants hesitantly, "we're receiving a transmission." "From Admiral Kalthar." Zixar froze. Kalthar, leader of the Tyran Collective, was one of the Coalition's most prominent members, and also one of its most vocal critics. For months, he'd argued that invading Earth was a mistake, claiming the planet offered little value compared to the risks involved. Now, it seemed his warnings had come true. "What does he want?" Zixar snapped, his voice laced with suspicion. "He says he wants to discuss terms," the lieutenant replied cautiously. "Terms for surrender." Zixar's eyes narrowed. Surrender? To humans, the very idea was unthinkable. Yet as he glanced at the holographic display showing the battered state of his fleet, he couldn't deny the truth. They were losing, and badly. If Kalthar wanted to save himself and his people, there was no better time than now. "Put him through," Zixar growled reluctantly. Seconds later, Kalthar's face appeared on the main screen. Unlike Zixar's imposing figure, Kalthar was lean and wiry, his sharp features framed by intricate facial markings unique to his species. His expression was calm but firm. "Admiral Zixar," Kalthar began without preamble, "our position is untenable. Continuing this fight will only lead to our destruction. My people have decided to seek peace with the humans." "You coward." Zixar spat, his anger boiling over. "You'd abandon your allies in our hour of need." "I'm not abandoning anyone," Kalthar shot back, his tone icy. "I'm saving lives, including yours. Face facts, Zixar. We underestimated these humans, and now we're paying the price. Fighting them further serves no purpose." Before Zixar could respond, Kalthar continued, "I've already contacted General Vasquez of Earth's forces. She's agreed to spare us if we provide intelligence about the rest of the Galactic Coalition's operations. You can join us, or stay here and be destroyed alongside what remains of your fleet." The words hit Zixar like a punch to the gut. Betrayal. From one of his closest allies, no less. He stared at Kalthar, seething with rage but unable to argue. Deep down, he knew that Tyran Admiral was right. Humanity wasn't just winning. They were dominating. And unless something changed, the entire fleet would soon be wiped out. Meanwhile, aboard Leviathan 07, General Elena Vasquez listened intently as Kalthar outlined his proposal. Intelligence about the Galactic Coalition's homeworlds and military strategies could give humanity a significant advantage, not just in this battle, but in any future conflicts. Still, she remained cautious. "Why should I trust you?" Vasquez asked bluntly, her arms crossed over her chest. "How do I know this isn't some trick to buy yourself time?" Kalthar met her gaze evenly. "Because I have nothing left to gain by lying. My people are dying, General. We joined this coalition under false pretenses, lured by promises of wealth and glory. All we found was death. Let us leave your system, and I'll ensure you receive everything you need to protect yourselves." Vasquez studied him for a moment, weighing her options. Trusting an enemy, even a disgraced one, was risky, but so was ignoring valuable intelligence that could prevent another invasion. Finally, she nodded. "Fine," she said coldly. "Send your data. But mark my words, if you betray us, You won't live long enough to regret it. Kelthar bowed slightly, his expression unreadable. Understood. As the transmission ended, Vasquez turned to Commander Patel. Monitor their transmissions closely. If they try anything funny, destroy them immediately. Yes, General, Patel replied, already relaying orders to the crew. Word of Kelthar's defection spread quickly among the alien fleet. Panic and distrust rippled through their ranks, with factions accusing each other of cowardice and betrayal. Some ships broke formation entirely, fleeing deeper into space despite knowing they couldn't escape thanks to the Arbiter. Others followed Kelthar's lead, contacting the humans to negotiate their own terms of surrender. For Admiral Zixar, the betrayal cut deeper than any wound. His once united coalition was fracturing before his eyes, leaving him isolated and outnumbered. As he watched more ships peel away from the fight, he realized the bitter truth. The war was lost. The question now wasn't whether humanity would win. It was how much of his fleet would survive to tell the tale. With their numbers dwindling and morale shattered, the remnants of the Galactic fleet retreated to Saturn's moon Titan. It was a desperate gamble, a last stand in the icy wilderness where they hoped to regroup and fortify themselves against humanity's relentless assault. Admiral Zixar had chosen Titan for its dense atmosphere and treacherous terrain, believing it would provide some measure of protection from the Leviathan's devastating firepower. But General Elena Vasquez wasn't about to let them catch their breath. Titan isn't a refuge, she said sharply as she studied the tactical display aboard Leviathan 07. It's a tomb. We finish this now. Her crew worked tirelessly around her, plotting attack vectors and analyzing Titan's geography. The moon's frozen plains stretched endlessly beneath thick layers of nitrogen clouds, dotted with jagged ice formations and methane lakes. While the environment posed challenges even for advanced technology, Vasquez knew one thing for certain. Earth's forces wouldn't hesitate to adapt and dominate. Deploy ground troops, she ordered. We'll hit them on all fronts. Use exosuits for mobility and mechs for heavy support. The Leviathans descended into Titan's atmosphere, their massive hulls slicing through the haze like silent predators. From their bellies, dropships launched, carrying squads of elite soldiers equipped with cutting-edge exoskeletons. These suits amplified strength, speed, and endurance, making each soldier a one-person army. Alongside them came towering autonomous mechs, bristling with weapons and designed to handle the harsh conditions of Titan's surface. As the first wave of human forces landed, the aliens scrambled to defend their makeshift stronghold. They had dug trenches into the icy ground and erected energy barriers powered by salvaged equipment. Plasma turrets scanned the horizon, ready to fire at anything that moved. But when the battle began, none of these preparations mattered. The humans struck with precision and ferocity. Exosuited soldiers dashed across the frozen plains, dodging enemy fire while launching counterattacks with handheld railguns. Mechs lumbered forward, shrugging off plasma bursts as they unleashed barrages of missiles and energy beams. Alien defenses crumbled under the onslaught, their turrets destroyed and barriers overloaded. Admiral Zixar watched the carnage unfold from a command bunker buried deep within Titan's crust. His once proud fleet was reduced to scattered survivors huddled together in fear. Every report he received painted a grim picture. Entire platoons wiped out, key positions overrun, and no hope of reinforcements. For the first time in his long career, he felt the weight of failure pressing down on him. "They're relentless," muttered one of his officers, his voice trembling. "How do we stop them?" Zixar clenched his fists but said nothing. He didn't have an answer. Humanity's forces weren't just fighting. They were executing a flawless strategy, adapting to every move the aliens made. Even the brutal cold of Titan seemed powerless to slow them down. On the battlefield, chaos reigned. Explosions lit up the dark sky as human mechs clashed with alien walkers, their titanic struggles shaking the ground beneath them. Soldiers fought hand-to-hand in the shadows of towering ice spires, their movements swift and deadly. Despite heavy losses, the humans pushed forward step by step, driving the invaders back toward their final bastion. General Vasquez monitored the battle from orbit, her expression unreadable. She admired the bravery of her troops but refused to let emotion cloud her judgment. This was war, and wars were won not by sentiment, but by resolve. Focus on their command center, she instructed her officers. Take out their leadership, and the rest will collapse. Her orders were relayed instantly, and moments later, a concentrated barrage of energy beams obliterated the alien bunker. Inside, Admiral Zixar barely escaped with his life, emerging into the frigid air as explosions rocked the area around him. His remaining forces broke ranks, fleeing in disarray as the humans closed in. By the time the dust settled, Titan's surface was littered with wreckage and bodies. The alien stronghold lay in ruins, its defenders either dead or captured. Humanity had claimed victory, not just over the invaders, but over doubt itself. General Vasquez allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction before turning her attention to the next phase. The war might be over, but the galaxy had seen what Earth was capable of. And soon, others would come knocking. Earth had proven it could fight, but now it needed to prepare to rule. With the alien fleet defeated and their survivors scattered across Titan's frozen wasteland, humanity turned its focus inward. The war was over, or so it seemed, but questions lingered in the minds of those who had witnessed Earth's sudden transformation from a fragile planet to a galactic powerhouse. How had humanity built machines like the Leviathans? Where had they acquired technology far beyond anything seen before? Back on Earth, scientists worked tirelessly to analyze the data captured during the battle. Among them was Dr. Miriam Chen, a brilliant astrophysicist who had been part of the team that first discovered the ancient artifact buried beneath Antarctica decades earlier. She stood in a dimly lit lab, staring at fragments of the artifact suspended in stasis fields. Each piece glowed faintly with an otherworldly energy, as if alive. "General Vasquez wants answers," said Lieutenant Harris, her assistant, breaking the silence. "She's asking for a full report by tomorrow morning." Dr. Chen sighed, rubbing her temples. "Tell her we're doing our best, that this isn't something we can rush. These fragments, they're not just pieces of alien tech. They're remnants of something much older, something we still don't fully understand." Harris frowned. "Older, you mean? Older than the aliens we just fought?" Chen nodded slowly. "Exactly. These artifacts predate even the oldest known civilizations in the galaxy. We think they belong to a race called the Precursors, a species so advanced that most people dismissed them as myths. Their technology wasn't designed. It was engineered on a level we can barely comprehend." She paused, gesturing toward the glowing fragments. "When we found these, we realized they contained blueprints, patterns embedded in their molecular structure. It took years of research, trial, and error, but eventually we figured out how to replicate some of it. That's where the Leviathans came from." Harris's eyes widened. "Wait, you're saying the Dreadnoughts weren't entirely human-made? They were based on precursor designs?" "Not just based on them," Chen corrected grimly. "Reverse-engineered from them. Every weapon system, every propulsion module, every defensive shield, they all trace back to this artifact. Without it, we wouldn't have stood a chance against the Galactic fleet." The implications weighed heavily on both of them. Humanity had achieved victory by tapping into powers far greater than themselves. But what did that mean for the future? Had they awakened something they couldn't control? As news of the discovery spread among Earth's leaders, debates erupted behind closed doors. Some argued that the precursor technology should remain classified, kept hidden until humanity could fully understand its origins and potential dangers. Others believed it was time to share the truth with the world, to let humanity know exactly what had saved them. General Vasquez listened to the arguments impassively during a high-level briefing in Geneva. When her turn came to speak, she didn't mince words. "This isn't about secrets or politics anymore," she said firmly, addressing the assembled officials. "The galaxy now knows Earth is a force to be reckoned with. But if word gets out that we've reverse-engineered precursor tech, others will come looking, not just to trade, but to take. And trust me, they won't hesitate to destroy us if they think we're a threat." Her words silenced the room. Everyone present understood the stakes. Humanity had stepped onto a stage it wasn't ready for, wielding tools it didn't fully grasp. The question wasn't whether they could protect themselves. It was whether they could handle the responsibilities that came with such power. Later that night, Vasquez found herself alone in her quarters, staring at a holographic image of one of the Leviathans. Its sleek design shimmered under simulated starlight, a testament to human ingenuity. And perhaps hubris. She thought about the battles they'd fought, the sacrifices made, and the lives lost. Victory had come at a cost, but it was only the beginning. What would happen when other factions learned of Earth's newfound strength? Would humanity rise to meet the challenges ahead, or crumble under the weight of its own ambition? For now, there were no answers, only questions, and the uneasy feeling that Earth's greatest test was yet to come. The remnants of the Galactic fleet were scattered, their once mighty armada reduced to a handful of broken ships, drifting aimlessly in Earth's solar system. Admiral Zixar clung to what little authority he had left, rallying the surviving crews aboard Ecliptor's Wrath. But even he knew it was futile. The humans had dismantled everything they'd worked for, every strategy, every advantage, every ounce of hope. "We can't stay here," Zixar growled during an emergency meeting with his remaining officers. "Earth's forces will hunt us down if we don't act now." "But where do we go?" asked one of his lieutenants, her voice trembling. "Our hyperspace drives are disabled, and half our fleet is already gone. Even if we could escape, how long would it take reinforcements to reach us?" Zixar clenched his fists but forced himself to remain calm. He couldn't afford panic. Not now. "We'll split up," he decided. "Small groups moving separately. If we stick together, we're an easy target. Alone, at least some of us might survive." His plan was desperate and dangerous, but it was all they had. Orders were issued, and the surviving ships began breaking formation, each heading in different directions. Some fled deeper into the outer reaches of the solar system, hoping to hide among asteroids or gas giants. Others limped toward Titan, seeking refuge in the wreckage of their former stronghold. None of them expected to live long, but survival wasn't the goal anymore. It was about buying time. Meanwhile, humanity wasted no time consolidating its victory. The Leviathans prowled through space, hunting down any alien ship that dared to linger. General Elena Vasquez coordinated the operation from aboard Leviathan 07, her tactical display lighting up as enemy vessels were tracked and destroyed. Each strike brought them closer to total domination, and yet she couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was at play. "General," Commander Patil interrupted her thoughts, holding a datapad. "We've intercepted communications from one of the fleeing ships. They're contacting someone outside the solar system." Vasquez frowned. "Who?" Patil hesitated before answering. "It's unclear, but based on the encryption protocols, it looks like they're sending a distress signal to their homeworlds. If those messages get through, they'll bring reinforcements," Vasquez finished grimly. She turned back to the display, her mind racing. Humanity had won this battle, but if word reached the rest of the galaxy, another war would follow. And next time, the invaders wouldn't underestimate Earth. "Scramble all available drones," she ordered sharply. "I want every transmission jammed or intercepted. Leave nothing unchecked." Her orders were carried out swiftly. Swarms of autonomous drones deployed from the Leviathans, targeting the fleeing alien ships. In deep space, high-speed dogfights erupted as human drones clashed with alien fighters guarding the transmitters. Explosions lit up the void as both sides fought desperately to control the flow of information. On board one of the escaping ships, Admiral Calthar watched nervously as his crew struggled to send their message. "Hurry," he urged, pacing anxiously across the bridge. "If we can warn the others." Before he could finish, A massive energy beam sliced through the ship's communication array, severing its connection. Moments later, the vessel shuddered violently as a human drone rammed into its hull, causing critical damage. "It's too late," Calthar whispered, sinking into his chair. His betrayal had spared him and his people, but it hadn't saved the fleet or prevented disaster. As his ship drifted helplessly, he wondered whether peace with humanity was truly possible, or if the galaxy was simply too vast, too unforgiving for such fragile alliances. Back aboard Leviathan 07, Vasquez received confirmation that all transmissions had been neutralized. For now, Earth's secrets were safe, but she knew better than to celebrate prematurely. The galaxy was vast, and news traveled quickly. Whether through survivors or spies, others would learn of humanity's rise, and they wouldn't come unprepared. As the final alien ship exploded in the distance, Vasquez allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The battle was over, but the war for Earth's place in the stars had only just begun. Somewhere out there, empires plotted and schemed, waiting for their chance to strike. And when they did, humanity would be ready. The war was over. Earth's skies were clear for the first time in months, and humanity stood victorious. But not unscathed. Cities lay in ruins, their streets scarred by orbital bombardments. Refugees wandered through what remained of once thriving metropolises, searching for shelter and answers. Yet amidst the devastation, there was hope, a fragile but undeniable sense that humanity had proven itself capable of standing against even the greatest threats. General Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of Leviathan 07, gazing out at the planet below. From orbit, Earth looked peaceful, its blue ocean shimmering under sunlight, its continents painted green and brown. The scars of war weren't visible from here, but she knew they were there. She could feel them in the weight of her responsibilities, in the countless lives lost to secure this fragile peace. "General," Commander Patel approached cautiously, holding a datapad. "We've finished analyzing the captured intel from the alien fleet. It confirms what we suspected. They weren't acting alone. Several factions within the Galactic Coalition funded this invasion, hoping to exploit Earth's resources." Vasquez nodded grimly. "And now those factions know we're not easy prey." Patel hesitated before continuing. "There's more. Some of the transmissions mentioned interest, not just hostility, but curiosity. They want to understand how we built the Leviathans, and why." "That's dangerous," Vasquez replied sharply. "If word gets out about the precursor artifact, every scavenger, mercenary, and empire will come knocking. We need to stay ahead of them." Her words echoed across the room, heavy with meaning. Humanity had stumbled upon something far greater than itself, an ancient power buried beneath Antarctica that had reshaped their destiny. But wielding such power came with risks, ones Vasquez wasn't sure they were ready to face. Elsewhere, aboard a battered alien ship drifting aimlessly in deep space, Admiral Zixer sat alone in his quarters. His fleet was gone, his reputation shattered, and his future uncertain. For the first time in his life, he felt small, an insignificant speck in the vastness of the galaxy. As he stared at the stars outside his viewport, he couldn't help but wonder if invading Earth had been a mistake, or if humanity's rise was inevitable. "They're not primitives," he muttered to himself, his voice hollow. "They're predators, and we walked right into their trap." Back on Earth, leaders gathered in Geneva to discuss the road ahead. The United Earth Council convened for an emergency session, debating how to prepare for what came next. Some argued for aggressive expansion, using the Leviathans to establish dominance beyond their solar system. Others urged caution, warning that humanity wasn't ready for galactic politics or the dangers that came with it. General Vasquez addressed the council, her tone firm but measured. "This victory doesn't make us invincible. It makes us a target. The galaxy has seen what we can do, and they won't underestimate us again. Our priority must be defense, not conquest." Her words resonated deeply. Humanity had fought hard to protect its home, But survival required more than strength. It demanded wisdom. Decisions made now would shape their future for generations to come. As the sun rose over a battered yet unbroken earth, one thing became clear. Humanity's age of innocence was over. No longer would they cower in fear or bow to invaders. The age of Earth had begun, an era defined not by weakness, but by resilience. Somewhere among the stars, eyes watched and waited. Empires plotted, alliances shifted, and whispers spread of a pale blue dot that refused to yield. Humanity had declared itself a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would soon learn the cost of challenging Earth. But for now, as dawn broke over ruined cities and rebuilt dreams, humanity stood tall. They had survived, and they would endure. Because Earth didn't back down. Not today. Not ever.